everybody, welcome to the Hamakua Homestead. My name is Tiffany, and on this channel I'm taking you along for all of the adventures here on the ranch. Today is an experiment. I am on the last leg of my time that I have to go ahead and try to clear out the freezer to get ready for our bull that is coming. It's going to need a lot of refrigerator space. So what I pulled out this morning was some beef skirt steaks and 2 legs of lamb. So I was trying to figure out what I was going to do with those, and I was talking with my boy and he suggested barbecue sauce. So I got to thinking about that, and the first recipe that popped up when I looked for barbecue sauce recipes was a blueberry barbecue sauce. And I thought, well, I happen to have a bag of blueberries in the freezer that are a little bit on the older side. So I got to looking into it and found a recipe that I'm going to loosely go on for a simple barbecue blueberry. I know it sounds weird, but I'm really intrigued and I'm so excited to try it out. So we are going to go ahead and loosely follow that recipe. And I went ahead and already mixed our beef and our lamb together because the beef is pressure canner. Got the leftovers from yesterday, the jars that didn't fit in the pressure canner from yesterday. So I've mixed them together, and we are going to make our barbecue sauce and can them up. Here we have our mixture of lamb and beef. I'm going to go ahead and set this aside and get started on our sauce. If you guys are interested in the original recipe, which I am going to differ from, of course, I always do, this one came from sbcanning.com. I will go ahead and put a link to that below. Our first ingredient is our blueberries. The original recipe calls for 3.5 cups. I am doubling our recipe. I have to say, you've got to know you're experimenting when the first ingredient is blueberries and the second ingredient is ketchup. I'm just finding this very intriguing right now. So I'm going to put in 1 cup of ketchup. Again, I am doubling the recipe, and I am also altering it. I'll let you know what I alter so you can decide if you want to do that for yourself. This is not any kind of tested or approved recipe by any means. I'm not altering very much at all. Apple cider vinegar. The recipe calls for fresh garlic. I don't have any. I'm using powdered garlic today. I'm doing 2 tablespoons. Might be a lot, but I'm okay with that. Calls for 4 tablespoons of honey. So I'm doing 8-ish. The recipe calls for 1 tablespoon of ginger. I am not a huge fan of ginger. I know I'm not going to be primarily the one eating this, but I don't like it most of the time, and it just doesn't sound good to me in this. So I'm going to add diced dried onion. That also might be something weird, but I'm going to give it a go. Experiment day. And, you know, dried spices are safe to alter in recipes for canning, so. Probably about 2 tablespoons. Recipe says a pinch of black pepper. And some chili for a little bit of heat. starting to melt down a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and just let this simmer. Eventually we will bring it to a boil and we will go ahead and give it a taste test to make sure we like it. We can figure out ways to tweak it at that time. But I'm just gonna go ahead and let this cook down, kind of smash the blueberries. I don't really want the blueberries to be a chunky consistency for this particular purpose. So I will be allowing those to be smashed down. But it looks really pretty so far. You can't really see. I'll bring it back when it's nice and hot. Full disclosure here. So as I was allowing them to come up to heat and simmer, I got to thinking and looking, and a lot of the ingredients that are in this barbecue sauce are not barbecue sauce. And it didn't taste anything like barbecue sauce, to be honest. So I went ahead and just completely deviated from the recipe because that's what I wanted, was more of a barbecue flavor. So I did add mustard, Worcestershire sauce, and paprika, and I also added mustard. So I'm really liking the flavor now. I'm just going to go ahead and let it break down a little further, let some of the water from the blueberries evaporate, and just keep an eye on it, and also allow the blueberries to break down a little bit more. I don't want them to be very chunky. So I'm just going to let it keep going and let those flavors do their thing. Okay, so I went ahead and tended to some other things while this was simmering. I got it up to a boil for several minutes, and now I have the heat turned off. It is a pretty thin liquid, which is fine. I'm just going to go ahead and let this sit for a few minutes with the heat off, and I'm going to get my jars ready. I decided I'm going to go ahead and do it in pint-sized jars because I just have the feeling that this meal will be more of a single-person meal. I just think that that's the way it's going to go in this house. So I'm going to go ahead and do it in pint jars. I'm going to get our jars ready, get our canner ready, and I'll bring you back when it's time to fill up our jars with our meat. Okay, we are ready to rock and roll. I'm going to go ahead and put some of the meat mixture into each jar and try to work the sauce around at the same time, trying to ensure that there are no air bubbles. If I run out of sauce, I'm going to go ahead and just pack the rest regular, cold pack. Some people might call it ugly beef or ugly lamb. So we'll deal with that when we get there. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and try to fill up as many jars as I can. And I'm trying to get a good mixture of beef and lamb. It is a very purpley color. Okay, so we have our jar filled up with our meat, and we also have it at 1 inch headspace. So I'm going to go ahead and just keep doing that same thing for the rest of the jars. We have cooled down, so my canner is not going yet. I don't want to have a hot canner with cool jars. So I'll just take my time, fill up our jars, and show you what we're doing. Okay, so I have made a complete mess with this blueberry sauce, but that's okay. I went ahead and made sure that we have 1 inch headspace. We ended up with 13 jars, and I actually went through and debubbled each one 3 times just to be sure. If you were going to do something with a sauce that this consistency, I would maybe put in less meat and more sauce. That would definitely make the debubbling situation a lot easier, but that's where we're at. This is in no way an approved recipe. The original recipe that I'm going off of is approved for canning, and the things that I added to it are definitely safe for canning, but I am not recommending that you follow me whatsoever. I'm just showing you the adventure that I'm on today, and being that there's ketchup and blueberries with meat, I think it's quite an adventure, but I will definitely let you guys know how it ends up turning out. But in the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and get this cleaned up. I'm going to carefully wash off all of the rims. We have a lot of fat from the lamb and the beef, and then also sugar from the sauce. So I'm going to clean these very, very well, get our lids put on, and get them in the canner. Like I said, we have plenty of reason to be, well, you should be extra cautious every time you're cleaning your rims, but I am using distilled vinegar to clean the rims because it will help cut through the sugar, and it will also help cut through the fat from the proteins. Okay, nice and clean. Put on our lids and rings, and I'm going to put them in the canner, and I'm going to go ahead and start the canner now so it starts warming up. Isn't that gorgeous? It's either really gorgeous and delicious or just really weird. We'll find out. Yeah. Actually, I just changed my mind. I'm not going to put them into the canner just yet. My other canner is almost down from pressure, so I'm going to go ahead and wait because I want to use that one because it'll fit all of them. So I'll just set them aside for now. Okay, I'm going to wait for my pressure canner over here to come down. It shouldn't take more than just about 10 minutes or so, and then I'll get these guys going in that canner. Okay guys, so I'm pretty certain I lost the footage for the end of this video. I didn't have a conclusion while I was editing, so I figured I would just tell you guys about it. The blueberry beef lamb barbecue experiment wasn't a total flop, but it is not the favorite for sure. I have served it just plain, and I've served it with making a roux and cream sauce and putting that on top of rice. That wasn't really the favorite. I gave a couple of jars to a friend of mine, and she added jalapeno, and I believe she added a couple more things to it too, but the overall consensus is it wasn't the favorite. So, you win some, you lose some. But there is only 2 jars left on my shelf, I believe, so couldn't have been that bad. But anyways, this one went at 15 pounds of pressure at my elevation, and it was processed for 75 minutes, I think. Meat, pint jar. Look it up in your area, what you're supposed to be doing. Don't take my word for it. I want to say 75 minutes for pint jars, but anyways, I just figured that I would let you guys know how it turned out. I mean, the meat was tender, it was good, but the flavoring, yeah, we won't be doing it again, but that's okay. I appreciate you guys stopping by today here on the Hamakua Homestead. I hope that you will consider hitting that subscribe button and that like button, and also make sure you hit that bell notification so you can see when my next video posts. I will see you guys again very soon.